Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to get this wispy angel eyes brown set. So starting off, you guys already know that I have to go in and wash my client's lashes. I am using my Wash Me Baby lash shampoo. It is a 150 milliliter bottle, so it is a big bottle. So when I say to go in and wash your client's lashes, I don't mean using Johnson & Johnson baby shampoo, not no micellar water, not no dish soap, lash shampoo, or crazy type of shampoos that you guys have been making. Please do yourself a service and use professional grade lash shampoo. So what I like to do is I like to do one pump for each eye, and I'm going to focus on cleaning only one eye at a time. Sometimes when you go in and put shampoo on both eyes, and if you're focusing on cleaning one eye, the other eye is going to start running. You don't want to do that. You don't want to have shampoo running down your client's face. So only do one eye at a time. And this will just help you go with the flow and not get your client wet. We're already getting them wet by washing the lashes. So just make sure you're only doing one eye at a time. We're going to fan her out. And then we're going to use the Akiso's eye pads. You guys know how much I love these. You can get them on Amazon. Everything is going to be linked in this description box down below for you guys. These iPads are from Amazon. So I'm going to do things a little bit different when it comes to placing my iPads. Generally, I like to place the iPads at the tips of the bottom of her lashes, but this time around, I'm going to come in from the bottom and behind the lashes, and I'm just going to go in with the tape and sandwich the lashes between the tape and the iPads. So doing this will just help to keep the iPad where it's at, and it's not going to lift and get inside your client's eyes. So again, as you can see, I'm coming from behind the lashes, and the lashes are going to sit on top of the iPads. Then I'm going to go in with tape and sandwich the lashes between the iPads and the tape. As you can see, you could kind of see the lashes between the tape and the iPads. So again, the reason why I'm doing this now is because I've noticed that it helps your iPad from shifting and getting inside your clients, because it kind of creates like a barrier or like a wall, and your lashes are going to hold that iPad in place. It has been a huge game changer for me when it comes to the iPads getting inside your client's eyes. Sometimes they talk, sometimes they move, and those iPads shift and get inside the eye. We don't want that, so we want to make sure those iPads stay where they are at. So doing this technique is going to be a huge game changer if you are somebody that is struggling with that. So now I'm going to go in with Prime Time primer, and I'm going to prime my client's lashes. Since I know that my client is very oily, as you can see from her skin, she tends to break out a lot. And somebody with really, really oily skin just tells me that her lash line is going to be very, very oily. So that is why I went in with primer to help remove any excess oil. So as you can see, I already started mapping, and I'm going to do an angel eye type of styling. I know doll eyes looks very, very good on my client here, so I decided to do a doll eyes. So I'm going to be focusing the longer lengths in the center. And what I'm actually going to be doing is I'm going to be doing wet set throughout the entire eye. The only difference now is instead of doing 3 millimeters for my spikes, I'm only going to be doing 1 millimeter longer only on my top layer, and then my bottom layers, I'm going to be doing the numbers that are at the bottom. So if I were to explain all of this all over again, the mapping that I'm writing down with the black pen, that is going to be all on the bottom layers. So the last two bottom layers. The mapping that I'm doing with the purple reddish pinkish pen, that one is going to be only strictly for the top layer. So this is going to give you a wispy, semi-wispy angel eye effect that is very trending right now. So it's going to give you a softer wispy look without it looking over dramatic. So right here, I'm just writing it down on the mapping what it is exactly that you're going to be doing. So the top numbers are going to be the longer lengths that you're going to be placing only on the top layer, and then the bottom numbers are going to be placed on the second and the third layer, depending on how many layers your client has. So for this set, I'm going to be using my Cafe Latte Cashmere collection, and I love this collection so much. So what I'm doing here is I cut some of my sensitive tape, and this tape is perfect for tipping on the bottom lashes. It is perfect for lifting and maneuvering the eyelids. So what I did is I cut it in half, and I lifted the eyelid off of the iPad. And now we're going to check if her eyes are not open, so that means we're good to go. So for the start of the show, we're going to be using my Pure Clear Adhesive. It has a little pinkish hue to it, but it dries down to a matte clear. So even though it looks a little pinky, doesn't mean that it's gonna give you a pink look. Again, it dries down to very, very clear. And overall, it is a perfect glue if you're going to be using colored lashes the way that I'm using here, or even if you are doing black lashes but you don't want that look that black adhesive gives you when it dries it down. So for this styling, I'm going to be doing all spikes. If you don't know what spikes are, spikes just means volume lashes unfanned. So since my Cafe Latte Cashmere collection, it is 0.05 cc curl. So again, they're 0.05. So that means I'm going to be grabbing about 5 to 7D lashes in each spike. So the overall look that I'm going for is a wet set. If you've heard of the angel eye styling, it is pretty much a wet set. I know I say pretty much a lot in all my videos, but just to clarify what angel eyes are, it is just a wet set. Okay, now that we know what angel eyes are and what this top trending style is right now, and if you know how to do a wet set, then that means you know how to do the angel eye styling. The only difference now is that with the angel eyes, you are doing somewhat of a wispy set. And that means that the top layer is always going to be one length longer than the bottom layers. So that is what I'm doing here. I'm just going and looking for all the top layer lashes. The top layer means the layer that is closest to you, so that is sitting on top on her eyelid. So the bottom layers are closer to the iPad. So top layer is closer to you, bottom layers are closer to the iPads. So we're going to be placing the longer lengths on the top layer only, and those are the ones that are written with the purple pinkish pen. So we're going to be focusing doing the longer layers first, the longer numbers first. So the top layer, we're going to do that first, and then once we are done with that, we are going to jump into doing the bottom layers, which are the shorter numbers. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just doing spikes all throughout the top layer. As you can see, my spikes are pretty even all throughout. You want to make sure you're keeping your spikes pretty even, and if they look a little fanned out the way that they do here, it's perfectly normal. I don't like to go for that very perfect spiky look. For angel eyes, you're going for a softer look. So I know wet sets tend to look a little more like the mascara look, or make it look like kind of like classics but a little bit thicker. But with the angel eyes, you're going for more of a softer look. So if your spikes look a little fanned out at the top, that is okay. So don't worry. Like, as you guys can see here, my spikes are not perfect. Again, we're going for the non-perfect, just blended out look. Okay, so don't stress that if your spikes are not coming out perfect every single time. We're not focusing on that. We're just trying to get in there and make sure that we are placing our spikes, which again are volume lashes unfanned. We're not using classic lashes in this entire look. So if you are wanting to do like a classic look, then it just kind of defeats the purpose of what the angel eyes are. So again, angel eyes are wet sets, and wet sets means we're using volume lashes to create spikes to mimic the look of a fuller, thicker classic look, but it just gives it a softer look. How many times did I say look? Okay, so at this point, we are trying to finish up the top layer. I'm going back and forth between both eyes. If you are doing this type of styling, especially when it comes to spikes, I recommend to work on both eyes at the same time, because then it'll give that extension that you just placed enough time to dry. Okay, so let's talk about brown lashes and why brown lashes are beautiful to have in your collection, especially when we're dealing with clients who are blonde and also redheads. Remember that they have lighter hair, and sometimes black extensions looks a little too dramatic for blondes or redheads. Trust me, I've come along so many clients who have told me that they do not like the way black extension looks on them because it looks too dramatic and they just pop too much. So having brown extensions in your collection is going to be able for you to gain those clienteles who do not like the look of black extensions. So as you can tell, my client here is blonde. She naturally has very light lashes, blonde lashes, and light hair overall. So the brown lashes is going to blend in with her complexion and her natural hair just beautifully. Like, as you can see, they match her eyebrows so perfectly, and you're just going to be able to tell that they look amazing. So Again, we're doing angel eyes. We are going back and forth between both eyes, putting spikes all throughout. We're not going to be doing no fans anytime throughout this process. No classic lashes, just strictly spikes all throughout the entire set, giving it that wet lash look, and in turn giving you that angel eyes that everybody wants. So at this point, it looks like we're almost done with the top layer. We're just finishing up the inner corners, adding our last few long lengths, and then we're going to jump into doing the bottom layers, which we're going to end up doing the tape back method, which I'm going to show you guys the best way to do the tape back method without having to worry about you yanking out her lashes, which we're actually going to be doing another piece of tape, taping it to the tape. That way it creates a barrier and the lashes never get stuck. So if you are somebody that hates doing the lashing in layers or the tape back method because your extensions get stuck, then I recommend for you guys to do this taping method that I'm going to show you guys in a bit. So now I'm just going to be checking to see if I missed any few lashes on the top layer, and then we're going to jump into doing the bottom layers. So at this point, I'm going to put some cute little music here for you guys to enjoy the rest, and then I'll jump back on when I'm ready to give you guys some more tips.
It ain't about fake friends. The screw your ex is such a flake. Forget your grades, you need a break. It's all about you. No matter what the others say. But now I'm done talking, the lights on me. I tell you, I guarantee this night's about to take a turn for the better. Now the rain is pouring and all I see is lightning around my feet. Now nothing can bring me down. I just wanna dance till my heart goes all like that. I just wanna dance. I just wanna dance till my heart goes all like that. I just wanna dance. I just wanna dance till my heart goes all like that. I just wanna dance. I just wanna dance till my heart goes all like that. I just wanna dance. It ain't about money. It ain't about the coolest job. It's about having fun and love the ones that makes you shine. It's all about you. No matter what the others say. But now I'm done talking, the lights on me. I tell you, I guarantee this night's about to take a turn for the better. Now the rain is pouring and all I see is lightning around my feet. Now nothing can bring me down. I just wanna dance till my heart goes all like that. I just wanna dance. I just wanna dance till my heart goes all like that. I just wanna dance. I'm done talking, the lights on me. I tell you, I guarantee this night's about to take a turn for the better. Now the rain is pouring and all I see is lightning around my feet. Now nothing can bring me down. I just wanna dance till my heart goes all like that. I just wanna dance. I just wanna dance till my heart goes all like that. I just wanna dance.
Okay, since I know a bunch of you missed the part where I was talking about the tape before I put on the music, let's just talk about exactly what I did with the tape. If you are somebody that is struggling with the tape back or the lashing in layers because you are scared of the extensions getting stuck onto the tape, then I recommend for you to do this double taping method technique. And what you're going to do is you're going to take a smaller piece of tape and tape it right in the middle of the tape. And I feel like I'm using tape too much. But you get what I mean. So we are gonna cut a smaller tape and put it right in the center, and this is just gonna help create like a little barrier. That way the extensions do not get fully stuck on that tape. I know a bunch of you do not like rubbing the tape on the back of your hand for sanitary issues. Then this is another perfect way of using the tape back technique without actually having to rub it on the back of your hand. So this will just ensure that you are able to see the bottom layers perfectly, especially if you're somebody that is struggling with isolation. Using tape to your advantage is going to be a huge game changer. So as you can see, now I'm working on the bottom layers without struggling, having to work over all that work that I already did. So again, if you're somebody that is struggling when you get so many extensions on there, I recommend for you to try this method. Pull those extensions you already did out of the way. That way you are able to see all the lashes that are left over for you to do. I know a lot of people also don't like to do this technique because when you do lift those extensions off of the iPad and pull up those extensions, it tends to lift the lashes, the bottom lashes up towards you, and it's really hard for you to come in there and place the extension, especially if those natural lashes are facing up towards you instead of leaning down on the iPad. So I recommend for you guys to rewind it back and rewatch this part again, because I did show you guys that I pushed down her eyelids with the tape. So before I fully placed that tape on her eyelids, I wanted to position my natural lashes on the bottom layer to face down on the iPad and not towards me. So when I did that, I pushed the tape down with the extensions, and this is going to help position the lashes more towards the bottom instead of coming straight at me. And also remember, when it comes to placing extensions this way, you always have to position your hand, meaning that it's all about the wrist movement. If you are not controlling your wrist movement, then it's going to be hard for you to position that extension. So if the natural lash is pointing a little bit higher than usual, remember that you can maneuver your wrist towards you. That way the base of the extension is facing or coming in the way of the natural lash. So don't be afraid to play around with your hands, maneuver your hands, twist your wrists. That way the base of the extension is always coming in the direction of the natural lash. I know it's really hard to talk about it and explain it when I'm not really showing it. So I am going to be doing a separate video all about your wrist movements and also how to do proper placement when it comes to your wrist movements, because that will play a huge role on how that extension is going to sit on that natural lash. Okay, so at this point, you guys can clearly see that I'm going back and forth, trying to make sure that I isolate each individual natural lash. We are lashing 99 to 100%. When I mean 100%, I mean no baby lashes. So all her lashes are pretty good length. I'm just going to be leaving all the tiny little baby lashes untouched. So yes, in order to achieve such a full dense look, even with classic lashes, you have to lash close to 100%. If you were to only lash 50% and expect them to come back with 50% of extensions, then you should not be mad about why the retention is bad. So I do have a separate video all about retention if you are somebody that's struggling with that. But just remember that as a beginner, don't expect your work to be full 100%, especially when you are taking 3 to 4 hours. And that is perfectly fine if you are taking 3 to 4 to 5 hours to do a full set. Remember, this is a skill you have to build up. And the more you lash, the more you do it over time, it'll be easier and easier for you to lash 100%. Did I lash 100% my first few sets? No. Did I lash 100% my first year? Probably not. I did not start seeing a huge improvement until after my first year. So do not be too hard on yourself if you cannot seem to achieve such a dense set the way that I did here. Just remember, it takes time and a skill you have to build over time. I also wanted to talk a little bit about isolation because I know this is something that a lot of you struggle with, and it's something that I struggled with a lot as a beginner. But just remember that these are skills. Again, I'm going to keep going back to this because you don't jump into something new and know exactly what it is that you have to do. No, I don't expect you guys to be professionals from day one. I expect you guys to learn from your mistakes and grow from them. So don't feel too bad about because your isolation is not good, because you're not lashing 100%. It's okay. So when it comes to isolation, the correct tweezers will play a huge role. So the tweezers you're using will play a huge role in the overall way you of how you isolate. So if you for some reason cannot get your isolation down, say if you are using a straight tweezer like I was using right now, then switch over to a 45-degree angle tweezer like I was using at the beginning of the set. This will help anchor down on those lashes a little bit better, and it will just help you really get in there. So don't be afraid to play around with different styles of tweezers to help get in there. So now I'm setting up my lash tile, putting more lash strips on there because I ran out of a certain length. As you guys saw, I finished the whole center of the eyelid, and now I'm going to be working on the outer corners. And if this is something that you struggle with, remember, use tape to your advantage. I recommend to work in sections. This is why I started off doing right in the center, finished off the whole center. Now I'm working on the outer corners. So don't feel like you need to stick to doing the whole set. If you feel like it's too much, then just work in sections and then work until you finish that section off and then move on to the next part of her eye. So again, I know it can feel a little frustrating when you are dealing with so many natural lashes. So that's why lashing in layers will help you out so much if you are struggling and feel intimidated behind how many natural lashes she has. So remember, use the correct tweezers if you are struggling, change your tweezer out, and use tape to your advantage if you are struggling. Don't feel like you have to do it a certain way to get it down. There's so many different techniques, so many different tools out there to help you work your best. And again, just be open to trying new techniques. And maybe because a trainer taught you a certain way doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do it that way. Just be open-minded and try different techniques, learn different styles, and I promise you that as long as you put in the work and you keep practicing every single day, your skills will improve, you will get better. Maybe not now, maybe a couple months down the road, maybe even a year down the road. So don't be too hard on yourself, just keep practicing, especially when it comes to trying new styles and new techniques like this. It can be a little intimidating at first. Trust me, when I first learned how to do a wispy set, it was hard. Like, I had no idea about how many spikes I needed to place. I had no idea on how to even create a spike, but I taught myself and I learned through trial and error, and that's honestly all it takes is learning from your mistakes and trying different techniques, learning new things, and just be having an open mind about being creative and what you do. So as you can see, I am taking off the tape and now I'm working within the inner corners. And remember, you can use tape to your advantage. So if you are struggling with the inner corners, then I recommend for you guys to use tape to your advantage. I'm going to keep saying this over and over and over until you guys get it down. So as you guys can see, the extension was getting stuck on my tweezer. So when you feel like your extension is stuck on your tweezer, then I recommend for you to use a glue aid remover. So this is called Spotless, and it's acetone mixed with a bunch of other chemicals, and this is just gonna remove the glue from your tweezer. I don't recommend for you guys to use regular acetone. I've tried using regular acetone, but it is not meant for your tweezers like that, especially my tweezers because they are fiber tip. When you are using fiber tip tweezers, you have to be more gentle with it, and you do not want to be so letting that tweezer soak in there, especially when it comes to barbicide or any acetone or like glue aid remover, because it's going to end up removing the fibers from your tips. So you want to make sure you are taking really good care of them. And if you are somebody that for the life of you cannot seem to place an extension because you are getting it stuck on your tweezers, then it's time you buy a Spotless glue aid remover to help remove all that glue on there. And trust me, it's going to be a huge game changer because you need to make sure that your tweezers are squeaky clean and you do not have nothing on there. If you are the kind of artist that does not like lashing the inner corners because it is a struggle, let me just put this out there. I've been in your shoes. I know how hard it is to lash the inner corners. It was to the point where I was telling my clients that you are not supposed to put lashes in the inner corners because they're not supposed to be in there. I would lie to my clients. I'm telling you guys, I've been in your shoes. I know how frustrating it is. I know how scary it is. So do yourself a favor and practice doing the inner corners. If you need to, use tape, maneuver those eyelids, stretch the eyelids. I show in all my videos how to really lash the inner corners and how to get in there. If this is something you really struggle, then I recommend for you to do it first and get the hard part out of the way. Since I'm so used to lashing the inner corners, to me it's no big deal, so I don't really struggle with it. But if you are somebody that does struggle with it, do this first and then finish the rest of the eye. But as you can see, we're almost done now. We're finishing off lashing the inner corners. My biggest tip for any beginner lash artist trying to learn how to do different styles and techniques is that it may not look the way that you expected it to look the first time, but just keep practicing and keep trying. This is something I tell all my students, and just remember that you in time will create your own unique style and your own trends. So just remember that a lot of people will take a trend or a styling and then just name it a really unique name like angel eyes. Just remember, angel eyes are wet sets, and wet sets are just spikes, so volume lashes unfanned all throughout, and it will just give it a more softer look. And also, depending on your own client's natural lashes will depend on how dense your set turns out. Somebody who has very sparse lashes, who doesn't have that many natural lashes, will have a more softer look, and somebody who has a lot more lashes like my client here will get more of a dense look that will look just like a regular volume set. So now we're finishing off the set. We're gonna go through our entire work and just check to see if we have any stickies. Yes, this still happens to me. If you are somebody that struggles with stickies, just remember that even at my 5 years of doing this, I still get it. Sometimes I tend to work a little bit too fast. So just remember that as long as you're working between both eyes at the same time and you are going back and forth and letting that glue dry, then there should be no reason why you are getting your lashes stuck. If you are working only on one eye, and if you are wondering why your lashes are stuck, then that can be the biggest reason why. That is why I don't like to work on one eye. I will always go back and forth between both of them. So now that we checked our work, we are officially done. We're going to end up using Super Bonder. This is Seal the Deal, and what Super Bonder is used for is to help fully cure the glue 100%, meaning that they're not going to get any more irritations from the fumes of the glue. So the glue is going to be cured 100%, meaning that it's going to be fully dry, and that means that they can wet their lashes right after this. So they could jump in the pool, they can go in the sauna, they can do whatever their pretty little heart desires. The reason why girls get extensions is to make their life simpler, and why would we want to add extensions to them and make it more complicated? Extensions already are high maintenance, so let's try to make it less maintenance, right? So that's what a super bonder is for. So now I'm going to jump into doing the final and most important step, especially when it comes to dealing with sensitive clients. Since we use Super Bonder, that means we could get the lashes wet, and that means yes, we can wash them right after. If you don't use Super Bonder and if you're only using a mister, this will probably be a big no-no because the glue is still drying. But because we use Super Bonder, we are able to get our lashes wet right away. So the reason why I'm washing my clients' lashes is to help remove any leftover product that is sitting there, like the super bonder, primer, any fumes that might have been left over from the glue. Remember, sensitive clients will have a reaction to anything sitting on their eyes, so that is why we wash them right after, to help aid with that. And this has been a huge game changer ever since I started doing it, and all my sensitive clients who would experience some sort of reaction don't have reactions anymore. But just remember, if somebody does get an allergic reaction to the extensions, Just because you wash them doesn't mean that it's going to take away any sensitivities like that. So if they are allergic to extensions, and that means they can't wear extensions no matter what you do, no matter if you were to use a different type of glue or all that good stuff. So just remember, this only helps with any sensitivities. It will not help to remove an allergic reaction. I am going to be doing a separate video all about reactions and allergies. If you guys are interested, that is going to be coming out very, very soon. So again, if you do have a client who's very sensitive, maybe to the super bonder or any product that might have been sitting on her eyes, this is just going to help with that, especially now in summer when your clients have their AC vent on. I know a lot of my clients have been complaining about it, that when they get their lashes done and they go and jump in the car and they have the AC blowing in their face, their lashes get very, very sensitive, like they start burning. So I know it's probably because of all the products that is sitting on top of her lashes, and ever since I started washing them, my clients have said that it is a huge game changer. They don't get any sort of burning or any kind of reactions when doing this. So that is pretty much it for this video. We're going to finish off. We're going to wash her off. We're going to fan her dry. And that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. And let's wait for the final reveal.
Talking, the lights on me, I tell you I guarantee this night's about to take a turn for the better. Now the rain is pouring and all I see is